Amen.
You all just don't know how wonderful you are.
Oops, I just
You're a mess.
again.
I'm not just saying it because it's Valentine's Day.
Oh, I know.
What is going on? Oh, look, I don't have you on again. I know you can see me, but I do not see you all. I don't know what happened. And
Did you share again? Did you put something? Do you have something else in front of you right now?
It just says Zoom meeting is using the webcam.
Okay, then. You should be. That's correct. It should be using the webcam, and there should be an
How
X
do I
on the.
maximize here? I'm scared that show side panel. Nope.
And so, if you go up to the corner, there's a thing that says view.
And thing that says who?
There's a menu. It says view. It's all the way in the right hand corner at the top.
Oh, the little arrow.
Right. Not the little arrow. It should be. I guess what the best thing to do is it should be like a squares. It should be a little squares next to it, and the word view is next to it.
It's nothing written beside it. It's just a star, an arrow, star, a square.
I see what you're talking about.
In there, and a C. That's me.
Okay. Well, I tell you what you do. Hit your escape button and see if that won't allow you back out.
Escape. Nada.
Okay.
I'm gonna come back in a third time then. I'm sorry, y'all.
That's okay, Clara.
Okay, I'm coming in for the third landing.
Okay, coming for the third landing.
Okay, here I.
Okay, you got us right. Yeah, so you really didn't go out. No. Whatever you hit, this brought all of you, and so that's why I was trying to tell you. In your right hand corner at the top is a word that says view, and when you click on it, it shows speaker, gallery, immerse. So if you hit gallery, that shows everybody.
Yeah, I used to see that, and that's what I was looking for, but I didn't see that up there. I might have to update my Zoom or something. I don't know.
All right, then, Claire. All right, go ahead and do you want me to start with the song now?
Yes, please.
All right, then I will do that. This is the Hawkins song, correct?
Correct.
All right. I just wanted to make sure I had the correct song that you wanted me to share.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, hold on. I just realized I did not share the sound. Okay. And so that wouldn't do anybody any good. Uh-oh. What did I do? Y'all had to forgive me. Now I know the rest of this. Okay. Go to my history. Put this way to go back to it. Here we go. Trying to get it set up where y'all not listening to the commercial. All right, then. Okay, so we're going to do this again. Thank you for your patience, everyone.
And thank all of you.
Okay. Ready? Can everybody hear it now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure.
Thank you, Dale.
You're welcome.
Yes, does someone want to follow with the prayer before we get started? We'll go straight into Trish Millines Dziko.
Sure. I'll pray us in. God, thank you for bringing us here together tonight under one accord to open our minds and hearts to learning of Black history. Thank you for opening Clara up to sharing this word with us, to letting us know about the achievements of this young lady. And God, I asked you on this day of love that we all receive love from one another and for those who we love on this Valentine's Day. God, thank you for everything that you're doing for us right now. Open our minds and our hearts to your word. And this we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So thank you all so much for being here tonight. And Trish Millines Dziko, she has a lot of accomplishments, so I hope to share a few of them with you. He was born in New Jersey in 1957, and she's the partner of Jill Hull Dziko. Her partner is Jill Hull Dziko, and both of them founded the Technology Foundation. Wow, it's so much. I'm trying to just keep it all together. But she is the co-founder and executive director of the Seattle-based Technology Access Foundation, a nonprofit that creates access to transformative systems of learning for students and teachers of color to eliminate race-based disparities in our increasingly diverse society. And it provides an equitable public school under the science, technology, engineering, and math education for underserved students and support for educators of color. She also has a background in computer science, and she worked 15 years as a programmer. And she changed her career to work for the Microsoft company. But she chose to travel the country to recruit college level students and to help train people of color to bring them up into the STEM education where it was more equitable among all the students. Wow, so much. And that was when, let me see, she graduated. Y'all, excuse me for jumping around, it's just so much information. Graduated from Monmouth College in 1979. And then in 1988, I've already talked about, she joined the Microsoft. But she became active during those 9 years at Microsoft. She became active in promoting the awareness of the importance of diversity in the corporate world, because at that time it was mostly all male and all white at that time during the 70s and the 80s. And she became the full-time TAP executive director after she left Microsoft in 1996 and became a full-time Technology Access Foundation executive director. And she was one of the millionaires at age 9, the Microsoft millionaires at age 39, who contributed over $150,000 of her money to open up this Technology Access Foundation school, and which is, I've mentioned before, it's a non-profit.
Where is it located, Claire? Did it mention the school?
It says this school is located, I think is in Washington State. I know it's here. Oh, yes, I have the address here.
Okay, I was just curious of where she opened that up at. Okay.
Washington. It's in Seattle, Washington, and off of Edmond Street. Do anybody have any questions that if they want? I'm sure I'll find the answer somewhere in all this information.
But I do know that she's also within the LGBT community.
Exactly. I mentioned her partner, Jill Dziko. Yes. They co-founded this nonprofit TAF together. And they're also the parents of 4 young adult children.
Oh, wow.
Yes. But Trish put herself through high school on a basketball scholarship because things were not too good for her at that time. The woman who had adopted her as a mother had developed cancer. So through her high school, she had to sort of like in her senior year take care of her mother and do other work. And at one time she was going through this period is she kept listening to the You Can't, but her mother made sure she wasn't going to do with the You Can't. So she had her work with her one summer cleaning toilets, doing the same thing she was. And she said she was so thankful to her mother for not letting her listen to the You Can't, but I will. So she worked to overcome all those disparities, put herself through college on a college basketball team. And the way she worked that out was there were other things in there. She was good in math, and she was formerly an engineer, but she was good in math. And going through college, she chose to do the computer lab stuff going through college because that stayed open all night, so she could put full time in her studies on that major and also do the basketball. So I thought that was interesting in how she worked that one out.
Okay.
Yes. And through it all, even through it all, what she really became interested in was human resources to help bring people of color, African Americans, Asians, Hispanic, all the people that wasn't really out there in the field, and they developed this program where I think she called it innovative or transformative learning, where instead of going by standardized regulations in the schooling where everything was regulated as standardized, but it was still disparity between it. She wanted to set up an area where people can use their minds and according to their culture that they can integrate their learning in with the other learnings where all the learnings are exchanged and everyone add value to the educational community.
Okay.
And people would have voice in what they're doing instead of teaching children. What is that thing they used to use back in the day? Oh, the learning curve.
Oh, okay.
But the classroom where children can really use their imagination and use their voice to create and solve problems, critique, and also partake of differences and work them out.
Now, did her partner have a technology background or was it an educational background?
It doesn't say. I didn't get into that. It just says that she was the co-founder of Technology Access Foundation.
Okay.
And it doesn't say too much about her on that.
Okay. I was just curious. Thank you.
I was going to say, I had a question in regards to a nonprofit also. Was it geared towards, I'm sure, children of color, but also was there an emphasis on the LGBTQ, the alphabet community?
Well, when she said everyone, but what the information I have didn't specifically say about the LGBTQ community. She was inclusive, including everyone, because even in there, she was saying where we could also work out where all the peoples come together, white and people of color, where there is no inequity in between the education, that everybody's getting the same value education across the board. But she didn't specifically, the information I have, I'll put it that way. She didn't say anything about the LGBTQ community. Anybody else have any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
I like to tease Dale, and I'm gonna tease you. Why did you pick her? Why is she have a rightful place in the best Bible study in America? Why? Why her? Why now? Why is she?
And Dale assigned it to me to see if I could come up to the challenge. Did you, Dale?
Well, not just so much to come up to the challenge, because we speak about so many of the well-known Black heroes, the Martins and the Malcolms, and they're wonderful, and they're always wonderful to remember what their foundation that they gave us. But there are still people here and now today paving the way. And if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have a way. And the things that they're involved in. And that's why I specifically mentioned about the LGBTQ piece of it, because everybody that we speak about this month is not only people of color, but they're also a part of our community. And that's a twist for us. That's different for us. Our life is different, you know, and we are more family in some instances to each other than our own family in some ways, depending on your situation, you know. And so here's an example of someone and their journey. What did they do with their skills and their life? You know, technology, you know, that's kind of close to my heart because of what I do. And there are so few women of color, period, you know, in the house. Right now, you know, where I work at, there's a floor full of men. There are 4 women that work on that floor. 2 of which are Black.
Well, what I like about, thank you so much, Dale. What I like about this is coming up like, I mean, it's good to remember our ancestors and all what they went through, like you said, Dale. But there's a lot of people here today that's up and expecting and being inclusive. And this is a very great way to talk about someone who is right here in our generation. Yes, we can go back and relate to how it was in school, but we can also see how school is slowly changing to be inclusive, where everyone can get education at the same equitable level. So yes, until today, until you assigned me to her, I hadn't even heard about her. So I really like this because even though she could, like I said, could go back there, she can also show the changes that's going on today and the new changes that they want to expand on. So she is a very interesting person to talk about, Jackie. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie.
I'm not playing devil's advocate, but I think that the 2 points that Dale made, and I really wanted to be here tonight. I appreciate you all recording, because sometimes, like, I have a conflict with class, but we're doing something that not only no one else is doing. Speaking about people, you don't have to be famous or be well known to be dealing with issues. And the whole thing about the alphabet soup,
Thank you.
I think is really important. But I also want to bring up that today, like in 2023, people take extraordinary risk in being out or talking about their partners, and especially in the religious community, or however you want to talk about it, we're often asked to make a choice. Do you want to be out? Do you want to speak about who you are? Do you want Jesus to love you or not? Can you be gay and Christian? I think you all's courage to have this class and bring up people's names and talk about the backstory is part of our walk as Christians, but also I can't remember if it was Dale or somebody was saying, and we've been doing this series on Sundays about relationships, and we were doing this series about coming to terms with being our whole self. I was looking up earlier today about literacy. Less, I think that's at 130 million people have a literacy problem. So I'll look it up and see the right numbers, but less than half of the people can read at above 6th grade level. Okay. And that when people went to church, one of the things the churches did was they said, we only want you to be able to read the Bible and the part that we want you to read. And so this notion about here's somebody has different values about education, and that we as a church say, we want you to read well, and we want you to have good comprehension, and we want you to interpret the Bible. This is huge. This is really huge. And I just really want to honor people that have the courage to be out. There's a class coming up, and this young man was talking about all the euphemistic ways, like the alternate ways. He says, well, you know, so-and-so is that way. Well, who does she live with? Well, that's her sister. Can't you see they look alike? You know, like, so when we hear these stories about people, we don't know, oh, that's their lover, that's their partner, that's their wife. When I came to this church and I met, and I don't know if Terry's still on, but I remember Terry and Kathy were the first Black couple that I met. They always say, and this isn't to tease them, but they always say, well, my wife said, do you know how like unbelievably, not just courageous, but where do you hear that in Bible study? Like where you do that at? And so the piece about technology, and when you said you were looking through all these papers and you couldn't find that, how did we know that about her? What did she do that let us know that? And how does that relate to being unconditionally loved by Christ, unconditionally being whole in the church? So, and I wasn't being it to be funny, but I know Dale well enough to know that she did not pull her name out of a hat for nothing. You know?
This is true.
Thank you, Dale.
Yeah. The main intent was to say, okay, here are all the list of the heroes that we know and we admire, but there are those living among us. And let's take a look at some of those guys and gals and what are they doing? And there are those who are living among us that are the alphabet, you know, LGBTQ, you know, because there are so few of those heroes even that are spoken about, much like what Jackie was saying. They're hidden, or they're you know, so-and-so does this, you know, that kind of thing. I'm blessed to live in work in an environment, and I guess maybe in tech environment, because skills are more important than the flavor of your life. They really kind of stress, you know, inclusivity. And we've had emails go out, you know, say so-and-so, these are their pronouns, and, you know, please respect that. You know, I mean, I couldn't have never imagined that. I never saw that in government, you know, but I didn't see that until I was working in this private industry called Norfolk and Grumman that did that. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is really cool, and they're very respectful of our spaces. Although, I would probably like to see the number greater, but we are there and they're respectful of who we are. And that in itself is refreshing. So just to see that she went to this level and spent her own money to expand not so much just the LGBTQ, but anybody who seeks to learn, much like Christ, who seeks to learn, want us to know him for ourselves, to know and learn ourselves in that same way. That's pretty monumental, of an ordinary person who takes extraordinary risk.
And that's
A lot of criticism throughout. Every time February rolls around, the media is about the same people. Mary McLeod Bethune. The same people day in and day out. But the ordinary are the extraordinary. And it's good to celebrate the accomplishment of the ordinary people becoming famous and, put those names up there year after year and let them see. And it's also because sometimes I think our youth cannot really get what happened bazillion years ago. And by showing them people that are now might encourage them to, seek greater things. So I think that's good. I think it's really good.
I kind of pulled her name out of the hat because of my granddaughter, who, by the way, has been programming robots. And I wanted to show her where she could go. Now, I'm not the best programmer because that's just not my gift. I understand enough to tread water and enough to try to keep up with her so that she's not doing some crazy stuff. No, don't do that, baby. But yeah, you're right. Thank you for that insight. Thank you for sharing those words with us. Right. We know those folks. Yes, Sheila, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I have a question. I can't remember. I don't know whether it was during the Super Bowl or after Super Bowl. I thought I saw a commercial where it was kind of like a tribute to Canada. And they were talking about all the various inventions that had come from Canada, and north of the border. And I was thinking, man, that would be pretty cool. Somebody to pay $7 million and let's have a commercial to show all the Black inventions, all the Black inventors, and how it actually has affected and benefited our country.
Right.
And that would be such a platform to put it out there. It would be so cool.
Ironically, when I lived when I was in the military and lived and worked in Belgium, I helped lead a production of a play during our Black history of just that, of the various inventors. We got the kids all involved. They all picked different inventors and scientists and stuff. And we put this play together that the community came to see during Black history, saying just what you just said. Wasn't the Super Bowl community, but that year, 1989, in Belgium, Mons, Belgium, they learned about Black history that way.
Right.
Yeah, they need to do something like that. I thought what was cool is that 3 out of the 5 pilots that flew over the Super Bowl were Black females.
Well, what was really funny is that I think it was CBS morning show, I think did a piece on that, or CBS did or whatever. And I don't even think they showed the Black women pilots. They interviewed the two of the white pilots, but you never knew there were Black pilots that actually flew. And all you knew was all women. They interviewed the white pilots, but never said anything about black pilots.
Yes, ma'am. 3 out of the 5 were black.
Oh, okay.
That I did not know.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, talking about the people today, I call them the hidden miracles, especially after I start learning about Millines Dziko, that this would be a good thing too. It's great for the Bible studying among us adults, but I would think that being transformative, like she's saying, this would be a good idea. I know they didn't mention history, but to bring modern history of today's sheroes and heroes to the all young children of today, all of their heroes, all of their sheroes that are moving forward in history. It's okay for us to remember what happened back there, but we can't keep living past. We got to move forward. So I think that this would be a good thing for children to even learn about, so they can not listen to the "you can't do this, you can't do that," and like, I will do this, I will do that.
I got that, but go ahead.
Under the heading of "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me."
Absolutely.
There is no discrimination in that.
Right.
And if our youth could catch on to that, it would be incredible.
Yes.
And I think they would catch on to that if they have examples of it, because I got the feeling now in the schools today, the children are still going under that old system where the class is set up to regulate just this, but they're not using, unless they're in the STEM, they're not using their imagination. And STEM is good too, but I think on the other side of logic, the creative part of the brain is just as important, like the liberal arts.
Right.
So I all works together when they say inclusive. Then to me it would include all of it. But I like the fact that Miss Millines is talking about the STEM, because in that category we were very our numbers were very small.
Yes, throughout my career it's been that way.
So she saw the need to bring it up so that it would be across the board. And I think that's a great thing that she's still doing.
Right.
I know when I was in school, Spingarn, they told me I was too stupid to go to college and to be on a general track. And don't even think that you're going to ever get to college. So they said that to my brother as well. And he took his degree back to his counselor, and after he got his master's in divinity, and he took it back to his counselor. I wish I could take mine back to my counselor, but I'm sure she's long gone.
Yeah, understood. I've been told those same kind of things, but my blessing was is that I had a mother and a godmother that told me, fed me, and said, I don't care what that lady says. She don't know you. I brought you in this world. You got all the things you need to do, whatever you want to do, which is what I tell my grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the part where I think church and spirituality comes in. And again, those people that told you that, they may be dead and gone. Why do you suppose they said that to you? Today, now, knowing who you are now, knowing everything, what possessed them to do that?
I would say the same thing that possessed those Black officers beating that Black man is the same mentality they had, following a model of the master race as they saw it, and not thinking for themselves or wanting to step outside the box.
And again, this is really meant to hopefully create a conversation. How did the church fit in that? What does the church, what was this literal belief about the church? How did people use Jesus to say, stay in your lane, your goals or whatever are going to happen after you die. You know, like how does that even, I mean, it's not like Clara said, it's not back in the day. It's like today. How is that function in our religious and our spiritual lives? How does that?
In traditional churches, I don't hear that. I see the same traditional thing day in, day out in traditional churches. I don't see them stepping outside the box. I don't see them accepting the alphabet soup. I don't see them doing all these things. They're still back in the age of, well, the churches I've been to are still back in the age of, you know, dress up and come to church and wear your hat and walk this way or don't walk that way, and you don't have any rhythm when you're up in the choir loft, and criticism if you don't meet the status quo. In today's church and in MCCDC, which I love so much, it's like I can see it stepping outside the box, reaching out to everybody, no matter what. The God of your understanding. That is huge. That is so huge. Because the God of my understanding doesn't even speak to the God of the traditional churches that they profess to be their God. I mean, it's like, that's not my God, because my God is love.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know a case in point. When Cynthia was living, we had thought about joining a church not too far from here. It was almost a mega church. It's in the neighborhood. And we went to the service, and it sounded like it was great. You're talking about, you know, inclusiveness and all like that. So I said, well, maybe we could join this church. So we went up and talked with the pastor. We told him how much we enjoyed his service. And he knew right away we were gay. And he said, but yes, you all can be, because we were talking about asking about being members. And here's the answer right here. He said, yes, you can be members, pay tithes, give offering, but you will never get married in here, and you will never get buried in here. And I say, oh, he said, well, I got my other members to think of. And me and Cynthia just looked at him and said, well, thank you for being honest, but I can't support a church like this. I wouldn't even consider being a member just to pay my tithes and offering. I need a church that will support me. That's how I also came back to MCC.
Mm-hmm.
So I was MCC for a while. But I'm going to tell you, MCCDC is definitely my spiritual home, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you still have things today. You still do. But I still see there are places too where people are trying to come together and trying to improve. And the more sometimes when you try to change and try to improve, the more obstacles going to rise, because some people like the old status quo. So they are going to fight to keep the old status quo going.
Right. Well, one thing that I like Jackie's question, why did we, when Kathy was sharing about her brother, why did she think that the teachers were telling them that? And I guess that's a pretty broad question, but it certainly gets you thinking. And one thing that popped into my mind was that, you know, fear does many things, you know, and especially systematic fears, you know, because we all know when someone has the power to be great, when they possess that, it shines. And so I think that really scared educators, you know, as we were coming up, and when they feared us, they would, you know, do something to keep us, you know, from growing or becoming as great as we were, really as great as, even greater than we thought we were, knew that we were. And I think that sometimes it's just fear. I think people, and we feel like, it feels like sometimes we're moving backwards. And I think that it's all just, not just, but I think a big part of it is fear. And people, you know, when people were kind of inching out of their boxes because of fear, people have now found much comfort in their boxes and putting others in their box because of fear. The world can be a scary place. So people, you know, retreat to their boxes and, you know, I mean, your comfort zone is, you know, great, but nothing grows there.
It doesn't, and sometimes that comfort zone definitely imprisons you.
Yeah.
Where you can't grow, you can't do anything, and after a while, that's an uncomfortable place to be. Reverend Green, Dr. Clara, did y'all want to say anything?
Well, the people in power want to keep their power, and they're afraid of losing their power, and so they use fear to continue to expand and maintain their power. And that goes all the way back to the Roman Empire. It continues on. Christianity actually had a very strong, in its early days, had a very strong. They wouldn't have used that terminology, but a strong feminist movement, and pushed down. There was an East-West conflict, and Rome pushed it down. But there were even scriptures and texts that could have been included, but they were pushed down by misogyny. And so the canon we have now really pushed, I believe, the canon. There was a patriarchal effort that was a part of that movement, and that scriptures about the divine feminine and the leadership of women was left out of scripture. And then that's continued. Why, you know, the power structures keep that in place, be it the school system, be it the law enforcement system, be it the churches. It's about maintaining power. And so you see a brilliant, if you're trying to maintain power and you see a brilliant student come into your classroom, and it's a personal response as well as a systemic response that happens there. And so, Cappy, what you and your brother faced in that day not only came through the individuals that were wearing the face of that, it came through centuries and centuries and centuries of systems pushing down that which would push against power.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Reverend Dwayne. Dr. Clara?
Yeah, I think that.
Feel like saying something.
Yeah, I think that, you know, for me, I was very, very similar. I was thinking very much of the educational system and the ways that those things still are said to children. And that still is the case because those systems still exist. And so I think this question of, and where in children's lives are the messages that of belief in children's brilliance. Yeah, you know, really a deep belief, a deep embracing of children's brilliance, of our children's brilliance. I'm thinking right now, Black children's brilliance. I'm thinking of brilliance of children who are from marginalized locations, places that, you know, identities and locations have been marginalized again over hundreds of years. And you know, so where is the belief in that, and really holding that, even when children are doing all the stuff that children do and acting out and wondering who they are and all of that, and children from the locations where there's power get to be all over the place and still have their brilliance held in the light. The assumption of their brilliance, and the, you know, in some ways that's where the spiritual part of it comes up for me, as well. Going back to what I was thinking about when you mentioned this, Jackie, again, where is the church, where is the community? There's stuff about holding, and I would just stay in the moment with young folks, but all of us. It's like, what does it mean to hold us in the belief of our brilliance and our worth? And that isn't just thinking. I mean, it's certainly about doing, and it is about that I think that spiritual holding matters. I think it matters. Yeah.
I
Because
agree.
that certainly isn't there when somebody says, don't even try. And they're not the only ones who are hearing it. It is a consistent message that is built into day in and day out behavior in the system. I also want to say that, you know, being in different educational systems for 40 years, that there are these pockets over time, much like this person who we're talking about tonight, where folks have pushed against that and have said, nope, we're going to do something different. You know, damn it, excuse me, we're going to do something different. We're going to create we're going to change the system. We're going to create systems that are different than that, not just individual things, but systems that are different than that. And it sounds like that's what these folks are trying to do. So those are there too. And it's hard because the conventional system does rise up and go, oh, no, you're not, in all kinds of ways. And yet that's there. It really is.
And sometimes I think they do that because they have gotten safely in their own box and they don't want anything different to threaten from what they believe, what they're all about, that theirs is the right way and they don't want to see any other way.
Yeah.
Well, that happens.
Dr. Clara.
That happens in the workplace. Once you break through the education stuff and then you get into the workplace, I have a situation at work where I have a supervisor who says, oh yeah, apply for that. But then there are these barriers put up so that you don't get that, because that supervisor may fear that if you get to a position, you might take over, and she gets kicked out. So, you know, once you break through one barrier, there's another barrier, and it's like it seems to be a constant fight.
Yeah. Yep, I will agree. Whether you know, in many career fields, you find that, and I mean, I saw it when I was in the military. I saw it in private industry. Norfolk being one of the more exceptions than the rule, and that's why I've stayed so long with those guys. You know, because it's a fair shake. I want X, and I really am qualified. I could go for X on the basis of my qualification, not because I'm Black or I'm female, that I'm an engineer, that I've created a lot of new, nice Twitter things in our network. It's on what I've done, not because of who I am or am not, you know. So, Claire, do you want to show that video in a little bit of that, or no?
Just a little bit of it. It's a long one, so I'm gonna just say a little bit of it.
Okay, all right. This is again our gal here, Trish, and this is a TED Talk that she did.
Yes.
Oh my.
So let's think about what it takes to innovate. You have to have imagination. You have to have some kind of vision around it, a level of support, and certainly the opportunity to innovate. And as a woman of color, I can tell you there's one more thing you need to have. You need to have resolve. You need to have the resolve to say, I will, because there is no shortage of people telling you, you can't. And I want to talk to you about that through the lens of my own personal story. This is my mom. She adopted me when I was a baby. She was a domestic worker. I watched her make a life for the two of us. She convinced the people that she worked with to let me go to nursery school. Think about that. A poor brown child going to nursery school with kids who typically will end up in boarding school. And think about what kind of experience that was for me. She gave me an amazing start in my life. Now, when I think about that, and I think about our conversations, she used to tell me I can be anything I want to be. And I believed her. All my aunts and uncles told me and my cousins, we can be anything we want to be, because they worked so hard to make that happen. But the I will quickly turned into you can't. The moment I left the comfort of our little block and entered into school, the you can'ts were all around me. The books that I read, the way the teachers connected with us or not, all of the media around us, which back then is not as much as it is now, but when you think about the magazines, when you think about all the things that said you as a brown child cannot do these things. And it became so pervasive that when I was 13 years old, when I was in 8th grade, I actually came home and told my mother, I'm not going to college. Okay, that's a big mistake. She didn't say a thing. Guess what I was doing that summer? I was working with her, cleaning toilets, vacuuming, cleaning people's bed sheets. She was letting me know that we're not doing you can't. You are doing I will. And that was very helpful for me. When I went to high school, I got tracked into the wrong math track. I should have been going into college prep. And I'm sitting in my math class and I'm looking at this algebra. That was the new math back then. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I've had this before. Maybe they're just kind of giving me review. And fortunately for me, my teacher realized that I was in the wrong spot. I should have been in honors. So he got together with another teacher and they helped get me on that right track. But what that meant was every single summer from that point on, all the way through college, I had to go to summer school, all to catch up, because I had people and the system tell me, you can't. Now, my senior year, we had a little devastating incident in my family. My mother was diagnosed with cancer. And it was a tough year for me, because that meant she couldn't work. She was very sick. I'm trying to be a teenager. I'm trying to finish school. I'm trying to take care of her. And all this is happening. Now, she died before I graduated high school, but she knew I was going to college. She knew where I was going. She knew it was paid for. So she died in peace. Now, those of you who are seniors or are going to be seniors, there's that day in June where you get your yearbook and you sign each other's yearbook and you're all excited, you know. So I take my yearbook and I take it around to my teachers. And then I get home and I read one of the entries. This is from my math teacher. Now, remember, I've had this very difficult year. And she wrote, "It was a pleasure having you in class, even though you weren't my best student. I hope you succeed in everything you do, except maybe math." And I'm thinking to myself, you know, is she joking? What is going on here? But then I didn't think of it anymore. I was young. You know, I thought she did it in jest. But as an adult, I see exactly what she was doing. She was giving me the you can't. You can't do this. You can't do that, because I said so. I ended up going to college, and I was the first female in my school to get a full ride basketball scholarship. It was the only way I could afford to go to school. I majored in computer science, and through those 4 years, what I did was I went to class, I went to practice, and I went to work. That was my whole 4 years. There were no internships, there were no mentors, there was nothing like that preparing me for my life after college. I graduated college totally unprepared for the real world. Ended up working at Computer Sciences Corporation. Then I worked at Hughes Aircraft Corporation. And that's where I first met racism in my career. And fortunately, I was able to move on to another part of the company, and I found women who were ready to support me in my growth. And for the first time in my very short career, I felt like I can. Then I moved to San Francisco. I worked for a company teaching COBOL programming of all languages, the one I hated the most. But it was a job. That was the point. And from there, I went to a company called Fortune Systems. And there is where the I will started to come up, because they saw me as a colleague. They saw me as someone who brought a set of skills to the table. I had a great manager who developed me and made me believe that I can contribute, that I have some value to add, I can innovate. And I did. I created a lot of small little programs to help move our organization along. I started to define myself. I started to define who I am as a professional, who I am as a young black woman in this profession that's full of white men. I felt like I had a place.
I'm going to stop it at that point.
That's pretty incredible.
Right. And I'll send a link out to everybody so that you can see the remainder of that video. But she moved me because I saw so many of those same kinds of things only through military growth. They told me I would never make colonel, but I did. No, and that was the only, I would say, good thing about the Army. I mean, if you did all the right steps, as much as they hated to promote you, they had to, because they had no reason to deny you. They had no reason to deny you that next track if you got all the right steps. Now they were going to give you hell getting there. But if you had all the boxes checked, as they call it, they couldn't uncheck you from that next step. Yeah.
Dale, Terry, Kathy, Josh, did y'all want to say anything before? I think we're getting pretty close to close.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Claire. No, I'm good. I just really have been enjoying the discussion and learning about this individual. Thank you for sharing it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Kathy. Terry, did you feel like saying anything? You don't have to unless you want to.
Thanks, Clara. No, I'm good. This has been most enjoyable and super, super motivating. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dale. Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Anyone want to pray us out tonight? Or did anyone have any last words they want to share?
I want to say thank you, Clara.
Oh, thank you. Josh, you want to lead us out in prayer tonight?
I don't know how to do it.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Well, I'll lead us out in prayer tonight. God, we thank you for this beautiful, powerful, wonderful Bible study that we had tonight, and also that we had someone, a hidden miracle that's living among us today that we could discuss and talk about her life and the moves that is going out. I've said the world is I know what's going on in the world, but at the same time, I can see people trying to make the world a better place too. And I really thank God for all of this, and thank all of you for being here tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Thank you, Claire.
You know, I
Okay.
appreciate it, Claire.
Soon.
Next
Happy
week,
Valentine's
Sheila's on the
Day.
hook. I won't be here because I'm going to go on a cruise.
Fun.
Have a
Well,
good-
out of phone range, don't call. Too expensive.
Traveling
Have a
mercies.
good time.
I will.
Okay, take good care.
Good
All
night.
right, then take care, everybody.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Right.